billion people from around the world are on Facebook. And no wonder Facebook is one of the best platforms for advertisers and marketers at this point. People's attention is on Facebook. What is that one mistake that you need to avoid while creating Facebook ads? Hey, what's up? My name is Karan Dharamsi and welcome to the second episode of the Marketing Nerdz podcast. I am super excited to be on this podcast and talking to you again. And in this episode, I want to talk about Facebook and the number one mistake to avoid while creating and running Facebook ads. Well, Facebook is a platform that has over billion people, right? Billion people from around the world are on Facebook. And no wonder Facebook is one of the best platforms for advertisers and marketers at this point. People's attention is on Facebook, and you always want to advertise where people's attention is. And most likely, your target audience is also on Facebook. And most likely you are also running Facebook ads, which is awesome. It's an amazing platform to reach out to your target audience. What is the one mistake that's causing you to lose your potential ROI, or the number one mistake that's leading to a decreased ROI for your Facebook ad budget spend? So what is that one mistake that you need to avoid while creating Facebook ads? Well, the number one mistake that you need to avoid when creating Facebook ads is picking and adding different interest groups in just one ad set. What exactly do I mean by that? So if you are already running Facebook ads, or if you have created a Facebook ad campaign in the past, you know how Facebook advertising platform works, right? It's divided into three different layers. The campaign level, where you select the objective of your ad. And then you have the ad set level, where you select the potential targeting and the bidding amount. And then you go to the ad level, which is where you select your ad creative, the ad banner and the ad copy. The most important area of Facebook advertising is the ad set part, which is where you select your potential targeting. And what most people do when they create Facebook ads is select different ad targeting groups in different interest groups and club them into the same ad set. Now, what's the problem with that? So let me explain this through an example. Let's say that I'm creating a Facebook ad campaign for a supermarket store. Alright, and if I'm in India, my potential target audience would have liked the pages of other bigger supermarkets like D-Mart, Reliance Mart, Metro and Hypercity, right? So what I would potentially do is, in my Facebook ads targeting, I would just select these pages. So now this is where it goes wrong, and this is where the ROI is affected negatively big time, because people would just select all these different brands like D-Mart, Reliance Mart, Hypercity, Metro in just one ad set. Now, although I want to target and test out audiences and interests of all these four brands and see how my ad performs, but if I put or combine all these interest groups in one ad set, there's no way in the world for me to understand which interest group or which audience is performing well and what kind of an ROI am I getting from the certain interest group. So what I potentially want to do is create one campaign, but within the one campaign I want to have multiple ad sets. So let's say that in the first ad set I create the interest group, I target the interest group which is D-Mart. So people who have liked D-Mart's page, I want to show my ads to them. Within the same campaign, I create a second interest group or second ad set, and in that ad set, I target the second interest group, which is Reliance Mart. And now within the same campaign, I create the third ad set, and in the third ad set, I target the third interest group, which is Hypercity, and so on for the fourth one, in which I would target Metro. I would have a separate daily budget for all these different ad sets, and I would want to test it out for at least 3 or 4 days and see which interest group gives me a better ROI. And based on the results, I want to then keep the ad sets alive which give me the best ROI and kill the ad set that does not give me the best ROI. Now, the reason I want to do this is to ensure that for every single cent or every single paisa that I spend on Facebook advertising, I get the maximum ROI. If I club all the interest groups in one ad set, there's no way in the world for me to figure out which interest group performed the best and performed the worst, and I'll end up paying for the interest group that does not perform well. This is the number one mistake that most advertisers do when they're advertising on Facebook. So if you are just starting out with Facebook advertising, or if you have been doing Facebook advertising for a long time, make sure that you have separate ad campaigns, separate ad sets, the same campaign but different ad sets for each major targeting group, and then you test it out for at least 3 days to figure out which one is performing well for you. Now, we could go really deep into split testing and testing out different parameters like this audience performing well on the phone, does the audience perform better on desktop, does the audience perform better on Instagram. But I'll talk about all of that in detail in another episode of the Marketing Nerds podcast. But if you're just standing out, just make sure that you stick to this basic principle of not clubbing all the major interest targets in one ad set. Have a different ad set for each major interest target group, and you'll see better ROI for the same ad budget and investment. So make sure that you apply this principle, apply this rule immediately into your Facebook advertising if you are already not doing it. If you have any comments, or if you would like to drop us a message and let us know what you thought of this episode of the Marketing Nerds podcast, please drop us a message on our Facebook group. We are really active. Or you can also send us an email at info@themarketingnerds.com. And if you would like me to talk about a specific topic, please feel free to drop us a message, and I'll make sure that I talk about one of the topics that you want me to talk about in a future episode of the Marketing Nerds podcast. And make sure that you're subscribed to our YouTube channel to get some insider videos and detailed book summaries if you're into books, and I hope you are into it. So make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you have any questions, please feel free to send us a message on our Facebook page again. And if you liked the episode, please feel free to drop a review on iTunes. And I look forward to talking to you in the next episode. And in the next episode, I will be talking about the most important thing, the one thing and the most important thing to consider before starting a business. If you're somebody who's looking at becoming an entrepreneur, or if you're somebody who's just started a company, or if you're someone who's into a startup, make sure you tune in to listen to the next episode of the Marketing Nerds podcast, because in the next episode I'll be talking about the one thing that you should consider and you must consider before you start a business, before you jump into being an entrepreneur. I look forward to talking to you in the next episode of the Marketing Nerds podcast, and I'm really excited about it. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. Good night. Bye-bye.